Joining us now, CNBC contributor Gina Sanchez. She's chief market strategist at Lido Advisors, has 3 buys and a bail for us. Number 1 stock is Bank of America. The shares, Gina, off significantly this week, about 8% despite Wednesday's Fed hike. But this is your high interest rate sensitivity play. Explain that and what's going on here.
Yeah, when I say high interest rate sensitivity, I really mean that they have the right kind of sensitivity. Because remember, as you said, banks make money on the spread. They pay at the short end, they make money at the long end. And so as the short end is rising, some banks are actually getting squeezed in that net interest margin. But a big chunk of Bank of America's deposits are actually in very, very low paying deposits in their wealth management unit. And so they're not suffering that net interest margin squeeze. And their net interest margins expand 18% over the first 6 months, and they're probably going to be able to hold on to those gains.
All right, so there's one call, one big vote, one cheer for Bank of America. Let's move on to the second one, PNC Bank, also lower by about 8% this week. You call this one your strong regional pick. PNC is a regional that's punching up into being a big sort of national scale player.
You are absolutely right. With the purchase of BBVA's U.S. network, they're basically like the national Main Street bank, but they're still a Main Street bank, and they're making consumer loans. Now, at this time in the market, there would be a lot of people that would say, oh, the economic cycle is really rough. You're going to have a hard time with consumer lending, but the household balance sheet is actually really still quite good. In fact, debt levels, even though they rose a little bit during the pandemic, are still at all-time lows. And so with a really healthy balance sheet, PNC is making some really profitable and very well underwritten consumer loans, and I think they're going to do really well.
You mentioned BBVA. It is your next pick here. Spanish bank, final buy, consumer-centric, as countries around the world look to shore up their economies. What's got you intrigued about this one, apart from the fact that they sold something to PNC?
Well, it's a bigger play, actually. It's one of the few ways that you can get access to Latin America. Latin America has actually been doing extraordinarily well this year. It's one of the few markets that's actually still up. And it is, it's enjoying, obviously, what's happening with oil, but it also has the benefit that as we start to pull back from offshoring to China, we're probably going to be nearshoring to Latin America. So there's lots of good reasons to like Latin America right now. And BBVA is really exposed to that market, particularly in Mexico, which is a neighbor to the U.S. And so there's a really strong play that international is a dicey place right now, but this is one area that you might want to figure out how to get exposure to, and this is one way.
And we've got one bail, and it is Wells Fargo. It is all about mortgages, right?
All about mortgages. When interest rates are falling, people continually pay to keep refinancing to get into that lower and lower mortgage. But the problem is that when interest rates are rising, people don't necessarily want to refinance into a higher interest rate loan. So they'll keep the interest rates they have. They have no interest rate sensitivity, so they get no benefit from the higher interest rates because they're not making more money. Everybody stays locked up in what they have and no fee income. So it just really blunts what would normally be kind of a good play on banks. They're just too locked up.
Have they said they want to kind of be less a player in the mortgage business? Have they been saying that?
They have, but the reality is that it's still a huge part of their business, and so they can say that, but they're going to have to grow the rest of their bank in order to deal with that.
Yeah. Well, we spoke with a bank executive, I think it was yesterday, from Valley National. He said the refinancing business is just dead. It's gone. Why would you? Yeah, right. Gina, always great to see you.
Why would you?
Yeah, why would you? Gina, thanks.
Thank you.